Greetings. Welcome to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Today, brothers and sisters, we are blessed to have with us our brother, your brother, my brother, Brother Hannibal Muhammad. I love that name, man. He's an author. He's the assistant student minister, excuse me, of the mosque there in Phoenix, Arizona. And he's also a photographer. Check it out.
See, that's corruption, right? Now you got to call somebody in to fix it. That's that outside source that has to come into the inside of the computer and fix it. Well, a lot of times we don't know we're corrupted because we're in the midst of the corruption. Sometimes you need an outside source, Almighty God, Allah and His messenger, to put us on a straight path so we can line up and see, dang, I'm corrupted right now. All praises be to Allah.
You can see more of that lecture and several other of our brothers' talks on YouTube. So make sure you finish and you go and do that. Assalamu alaikum, dear brother.
Walaikum salam, sir. I didn't know you was going to set me up like that.
We thank you for accepting our invitation. And man, I'd like to get straight down to the interview. So my first question I would like to ask you is, you were born into the Nation of Islam. And thus I would like to begin this interview by asking you to share what you know about your mother and your father's journey to Islam and some of the contributions and sacrifices that they have made to help in the establishment of Islam in a city in North America.
Absolutely. Before I can do that, let me first say in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there's no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, and I greet you and your beautiful audience with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. And I want to thank you, Student Minister Willie, Muhammad Mas, in New Orleans, NNV News, for this beautiful opportunity to be on this platform. I thank you all for just this opportunity. In regards of my family, my mother was introduced, my mother's sister Latanya Muhammad, she was introduced to Islam actually in the 60s by her little brother. I'm not going to give what his name was then, but Mustafa El Amin now, who actually joined the Nation of Islam back in the 60s. And that was her first introduction into Islam. Both of my parents are from the East Coast. My mother's from Newark, New Jersey. My father's from Jersey City, New Jersey. So being on the East Coast, the nation was already popping and making moves. So they were being exposed to it in and out of different things. My father would tell me, you would see the brothers at the subway with the message, Muhammad Speaks newspaper, and they would pick it up on their way to the games and stuff. But my father actually came out to Phoenix in the 70s. And he came out to visit his brother, Kenton White, who was introduced to Islam then by Brother Jabril Muhammad, Minister Jabril Muhammad. And, my father was informed, hey, your brother out there wilding out, he on some crazy stuff. I need you to go check in on your brother. And he actually came down to Phoenix to see his brother. And they used to party, have a good time. But that next morning, Brother Jabril would come to my uncle's house and he would teach the brothers and sisters who were going to Arizona State University. And my father said that he was laying down in his bed. While laying down in his bed, he would hear his brothers talking. He said he went from laying down to his bed to sitting at the edge of his bed to sitting down on the stairs to he found himself sitting down at the foot of Brother Jabril as he was speaking. And at this time, my father's, engaged in relationship with my mother. And my father said Brother Jabril was talking about a killer bee coming in from Africa and for us to be mindful of it. And my father was like, man, if everything he's saying is true, I need a sign. And my father said that after they finished speaking, outside of the window, there was a bee, and he could hear the bee buzzing really, really loud outside of that window. And that's when my father was like, yeah, I'm helping this man right here. And from that point, he led that to my mother, and we could say the rest is history.
Oh, beautiful, man. That's beautiful, brother, to even be able to know, you know, the journey stories of how your family actually came to Islam. And when we talked about, you closed out talking about your father, and we know, may Allah be pleased with him, he passed some years ago, and your family was blessed to have the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan officiate his janazah services.
Yes, sir.
So can you share with the audience how that came about and why? And I asked why because, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan doesn't do everybody's janazah.
Absolutely. My father and my mother actually have a long history with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You know, during the rebuilding, during that 3-year period, that the nation, or 3.5 year period that the nation would be under, my father, that's the period my father met Brother Jabril, and my mother met Brother Jabril, and they started and they would help Brother Jabril in the rebuilding process here in Phoenix. And as the minister would come in and out of Phoenix, my father would tell me stories about they will be out. My father's a painter, construction, remodeled homes. It was really nothing my father couldn't do. And my father said he would get a call from Brother Jabril. The minister has just arrived, and he just arrived at the airport. I need y'all brothers to go get him. And they will pull up in work clothes, paint all over their bodies, paint on their trucks, and come pick the minister up just like that. And wherever the minister needs to go, they will go. And when the minister would come in and out of Phoenix, when I'll be blessed to see him, he will always ask me, how is my father? How is my uncle? He would give me a word to give to them. He would tell me, I'm thinking about it. Tell him I'm waiting for them. And I will always call them. And the minister says he's waiting for you, Dad. The minister says he's waiting for you, Uncle. Where y'all at? So you had a lot of those experiences during the building of the study guides. My mother, my father, intricate around, in that period when the Brother Jabril would have 8-hour meetings. The minister would have 8-hour meetings here in Phoenix. My family was involved in that. If you go to that beautiful book, I don't have it right in front of me, Closing the Gap. My father's name is mentioned in the back of Closing the Gap as assistant. My father was the assistant minister to Brother Jabril here in Phoenix. So growing up, we had a lot of experiences with the minister. His family, Joshua Farrakhan. I grew up with their children. We were spending out of each other's houses. We would go to parties together. So it was a lot of intimate time that we would have with the minister, intimate time we would have with Brother Jabril growing up, where at that point in time, let me run back just a little bit. In 1984, my beloved brother, my late brother Yusuf, was buried here in Phoenix, and Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan actually conducted that janazah. And what I was informed of when the minister came to the mosque, the believers were crying, and the minister, he stood stern and he told the believers to stop crying, and to be thankful to Allah for what Allah did. And like, this brother was an angel, and Allah desired to take him back now. So my father was always in pain when it came to losing his son. And at that point in time, my father was involved in things that were not of the righteous. And my brother from what my father informed me, my brother wanted to go with him. And my father didn't want to take him with him because my father knew what he was going to do. And my father always regrets that, because he's like, if I would have took my son with me, my son would still be alive, but I want to go do something that wasn't right, and I lost my son in the process. So when my father made his transition, I reached out. I wrote a letter, and I reminded the minister, I wasn't reminded, but I informed the minister of how we see the minister and how much we love the minister and what he has done for our family, and how we wouldn't be who we are if it wasn't for him. And that it would really bring us such a great honor if he would actually, if he would bury my father next to his son. Would you give us the honor? You did the janazah for our brother. Would you give us the honor of burying my father next to his son, that maybe he might finally have peace for everything that he carried? All praises be to Allah. Man, it's such a beautiful picture.
Or you want to share, you can, there's more you want to share about that, you can, but I'll go into this next
Yes,
question.
sir.
We thank you for sharing that. You know, was there any advice from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to you and to your family that he shared that you can share with us, if you don't mind, after the passing of your father?
Yes, sir. I actually have a intimate video from that meeting right there, from these pictures. And what Allah has blessed me to do, some of those who I may be in contact with when they deal with a loss, I'll take that video and I'll send it to them. And I'll say, when the time is right, listen to this video and remove us and my father from it and place that person you lost. I really believe it would help uplift you and help you make it through this process. The minister just reminded us that everything is in Allah's hands, and Allah chooses who and when. And for us to be thankful that Allah would even give us our father, that Allah would even use our father as an agent to bring us into this world. But at some point in time, He's going to pull you back. And he reminded us that many can get so much done in such a little bit of time than others can get. So to not be angry, but to be happy, to be thankful, and to continue on in this path that whatever Allah has set forth for us. And I'll close with this. One of my brothers, him and his wife, they had a miscarriage, they had a stillborn, and the wife was hurting really, really bad. And I sent the brother the video, and he called me a few days later and informed me how much his wife would watch that video and how that video really helped him and her make it through that process of dealing with the loss of their daughter. So, yes, sir. All praises be to Allah.
That's definitely a blessing, man. And while we are on the topic of janazas and death, you know, I know that you've had to wash the bodies of several believers, yourself and our student minister there, brother Imam, you know, during this pandemic, you know, and that can really drain one's spirit. So my question to you, you know, what have you been doing for yourself personally to protect, to nourish, and even replenish your spirit during this time and after experiencing that?
That's a beautiful question. Well, one, staying constant in prayer. And because I'm the type, I empathize and I give up a lot of my energy when those who are going through things. It's always been a problem. I'm the type that if you're carrying a heavy load, let me take some of that off of you. And my wife gets on me about that. So I find time of solitude. I find time of prayer. Just recently, I was at the Grand Canyon. That was a time for me to heal. That was time for me to rejuvenate myself. That was time for me to grow. So what I do is I take time to pray, take time to read, take time to study. And I'm constantly putting myself, you know, there's that wristband. What would Jesus do? Well, I take that wristband mentally and I say, what would the minister do? And I'm constantly in that thought. How would the minister handle? How would the minister help himself to get back up and going after a constant or a repeat of increased services like this? So I'm constantly praying. I'm constantly studying. As you may know, I'm on every other day. So I have to constantly continue to build up my immune system in that process. Training, working out, exercising, walking, keeping myself busy, focusing on other things that take me to a happy place. We'll put it like that. Finding things that make me happy, whether it's drawing, whether it's listening to music, whether it's meeting up with family or having a conversation with family, whether it's working on the book, whether it's working on another book, whether it's just talking to a brother or a sister and just asking for a good word, or just watching a game, or listening to a lecture from the minister. I found myself really listening a lot more, consuming the minister much more to help lift my spirits up.
And thank you for sharing that. And so we're approaching our first break. And for those brothers and sisters who are watching, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you comment in the comment section, and make sure you subscribe to NNV and to Mosque number 46 AV as well. And we'll be back with more of the interview with our brother. I'm loving this interview already. Our brother Hannibal Muhammad.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call Digital Edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
And we're back, brothers and sisters, to continue our interview with brother Hannibal Muhammad. And man, you a brother who have a lot of, from my perspective, a lot of talents, a lot of gifts, man, and sharp dresser, as you all can see, right? One of the things I noticed also is that you have an inclination toward photography. So my first question, leading up to my other questions about photography, is first, I would like you to take a moment to share with us how you first became interested in photography. You put the camera up.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was interested as a child, just in regards to capturing things, being able to remember those moments. And then I left it alone, but I've always been into art. I've always been into the art, the artistic expression, the creative mind. And while living in Houston, Mosque 45, I was working with brother Abdul Kiyam, and I believe, you know what? We were actually in New Orleans. We were at your mosque, and I think student minister Dr. Halim was speaking, and I asked brother if I can take the pictures. And while capturing those photos, even though they weren't the best, I didn't know any better, I enjoyed it. I enjoy positioning myself, trying to find a good spot, trying to capture the right angles. What I had to work on at the time was my timing. So that became very inspiring to continue to do. And it really made me grow and really got me to a point where I was excited to take pictures. I don't know what if it's another photography question coming, so I'm gonna stop there. But I could talk all day on just photography, brother.
Yes, sir. Well, there's definitely another question coming in regards to that, because your growth in photography led you to develop a photo magazine that focuses on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Can you talk about how this photo magazine came to be, and how did the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan feel about your efforts?
Absolutely. So as I was working on my photography, there's a Savior's Day photo of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with his hands in the air. It's like a side angle. And I was blessed to take it. It's not the clearest photo, but the expression is there, and everybody loved that expression. And I was pulled aside by my brother Ashad out of Chicago. And I've known him since I was really, really young. And he was like, brother, I see that you're really becoming more serious about this. Let me give you some advice. And he gave me advice in regards of capturing the minister. And as we see a lot of photos of the minister, we see this enemy has really used imagery of the minister to paint a negative narrative. And so we'll see pictures of the minister's mouth open. We know he's going hard on his subject, but we use it to make him look like a hate teacher, or the enemy used it. And sometimes we aid in that by taking those photos, like he looks so strong, so we want to project those photos. But when you see a picture of how they display Jesus, this white man, pale face, crown on his, not crown, but you know what I'm saying, on his head. His hands is like this. He's very pleasant, and he's supposed to be angelic. So my mind was, why don't we present the Jesus in our midst in an angelic way? So I really started focusing on striving to capture him in the most angelic ways as possible. So as I would grow, Brother Shot would inform me, you know, the minister has a scar from the violin. So be careful shooting from that side, because it can age him on how you shoot him. You know, so I started, you know, when the minister speaks, I try to wait till he lifts his chin up so you can see that sharp line from the jawline being displayed. So that became part of my focus. Now, when it came to the photo mag, I found myself in life, and I was studying as every here and there I'll do a run back on my timeline. And I'll look at the decisions I was making 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Where am I currently at from those decisions? And I recognized I had a whole bunch of chapters in my book that I had not finished. And in that process, I seen, brother, you may start things, but you're not finishing stuff. So I wanted to do something that I was focused on finishing. And that photo mag became the idea. And in the process of it, my goal was to get it done in 30 days, which I did. And in the process, I said, I want to gift this to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan just as a Savior's Day gift. That was really the goal. It was just going to be a Savior's Day gift to him. In the process of it, I said, well, not only should I gift him, what if I can use this to actually raise my Savior's Day gift and gift him that way as well? So after 30 days of creating it, within 30 days, I was blessed to raise $1,300, which was $300 over my Savior's Day gift, and all the proceeds went to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that made me extremely happy to be able to do that. So I was able to see, brother, you completed a goal, you gifted the minister, and you were able to raise your Savior's Day gift in the process. Now, during the process of making that, there was some differences of opinion of what was being done and why it was being done, and maybe even my intent of it. So I was informed that the minister wasn't happy. Now, as a little servant, don't nobody want to upset the teacher. You don't want to upset your parents. So, and you sure don't want to upset the man of God. So it brought a lot of pain to me. And during that period, the minister was in Phoenix, and we were moving and shaking through the 10,000 Fearless, and he wanted to come get a tour of the 10,000 Fearless. While being there, I'm nervous. I'm informed the minister's not happy. I don't want to be next to him. So we're around a table discussing things, and he calls my name, Brother Hannibal, what do you think? I'm looking at him like, I don't want to talk right now. I'm trying to avoid him. And later on, he goes on the tour. As he's touring the home, the facility, I go outside because I'm trying to get away. I happen to walk into the last room. I'm standing in the doorway that he's touring. And as he finished, he walks towards me and he says, oh, I know what it is. It's that photo thing, huh? And my head just dropped out of sadness, because at the end of the day, like I said, I don't want to disappoint him. I don't want to upset him. I don't want to do anything that's harmful to him or the Nation of Islam. And he looks at me, he's like, oh, no, brother, no, it's beautiful. You did this? You designed this by yourself? And I'm like, yes, sir. And I checked in with particular individuals to make sure everything was accurate. Every photo that was taken was photos I personally took myself. I wanted to present this to you. All the money that was raised, I didn't take a dime of it. It was all for you. I want to give you as a gift, as my Savior's Day gift. And he was so impressed. He said, brother, continue to do what you're doing. Continue to do this. So through the grace of Allah, a few years later, I produced another one. And that one's also available on my website, HannibalMuhammad.com. And both of these are strictly as Savior's Day gifts. I get no proceeds. I get no money off of these photo mags. These photo mags go directly to my Savior's Day gift. And my Savior's Day gift goes directly to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This is one of my ways of working on my creative expression and being able to use the gifts and talents Allah has blessed me with to be able to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And it's been one of my favorite things to do. It allows me to be creative. It allows me to think. It allows me to focus. It allows me to really just go through all of these images, these photos Allah has blessed me to capture of this beautiful man, to be able to put them together and to be able to present them to the world.
Beautiful, my brother. And we're coming up on our next break, but we have a few more minutes, and I want to just ask to close out talking about your work with photography. You know, in addition to the photo magazine, you've also authored the book, My Father's Steps. Can you share with the viewers the overall idea behind the book and, you know, your objective prior, you know, before we go into this next break?
Absolutely. In my father's steps, self-reflection and journey to Allah. This book was a secondary book. There's another book Allah has placed upon me, but I'm truly, I'm intimidated by it, you know, and I've expressed that to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan of this book. And for me to develop myself, you know, we have to start somewhere. I said, well, what if I started with this so I can learn how to write a book? I can learn how to publish a book, you know, through the grace of Allah. So I started on this particular book. And in this book is 14 chapters of reflection, 14 chapters of helping to guide myself and others so that we can grow into oneness with Almighty God Allah. So the goal is to lead us to him, understanding that we all have our own journey. We all have our own struggles that we go through. So in that process, I was blessed to send a copy to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I was informed that the minister has read my book. I was informed that, you know, the minister, it was in his reading area and he was halfway through it before he finished it. And the minister doesn't normally read books from cover to cover anymore. So that just brought me joy to know that the man of God has my book and he's read it. But my goal from this book is a stepping stone to be able to become a stronger author. The minister teaches us that we should thank those who help us along the way. Well, one of the brothers I want to thank is Brother Dimitri. Brother Dimitri Muhammad was a brother I could call on and ask questions. Brother, how did you do this? How did you do that? Student Minister Michael T. Muhammad out of Atlantic City. Brother, how did you do this? What are steps? How did you publish? Should I go this route? Should I go that route? And through these processes, it allowed me to complete this. When my father made his transition, because I do discuss my father in this book, and I dedicated this book to my father. I was working on this book years beforehand. But when my father made his transition, and I'm going to close on this. This is what came to my mind. Life is too short. We don't know how much time we have on this beautiful earth Allah has blessed us to consume. What I don't want to do is to be on my deathbed, reflecting on the things I didn't do that I desire to do. And I wanted to know that at the end of the day, could I be on my deathbed and I can run back and say, I did this, I did that, I did this. Allah blessed me to get this done, and I can be happy and pleased with myself. So this book of many, if it be the will of Allah to come, was part of that journey of me learning how to be an author, how to be a writer, how to grow into whatever this is Allah is taking me on this journey to.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, brother, for those answers and your responses of feel of substance. And we'll be back after this break, brothers and sisters, after you hear more from our sponsors, to hear more of the interview with our brother Hannibal Muhammad.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
AsiaticMinds.com. Online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
And we're back, brothers and sisters, to continue our interview with our brother Hannibal Muhammad. And I want to get to this question. This section is kind of like focusing on, we've been talking about the minister, but a little bit more. You know, you've been blessed to interact with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on several occasions at various lengths, right? What
Yes, sir.
has been one of your most memorable moments, and why?
Oh, brother. Ooh. Yes, sir. I've had quite a few in my life, but one of my most memorable is February, I want to say 11th or 12th, 2020. I was blessed to sit down with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And this is a few months after my father's transition and the minister conducting the janazah and the burial. And I was blessed to sit with him. And in my sitting, you know, he informs me that he just wanted to check in on me. A man like that, brother, yeah, I just wanted to check in on you. You know, so when you see a man with such a heart, and the thing that trips me out, I'm nervous, first of all, that to be blessed to know I'm about to go sit with him, and I had something on, and my family's like, and my wife and them like, "Nah, you're not wearing that. You need to put something else on." I'm like, "Oh, really?" You know, I'm nervous. I call the barber, brother. I need a haircut real quick. And when I pull up, the brother searched me, and I'm walking towards the pool area of the home, and I see him. I'm thinking I'm going into another area. and which already caught me off guard. I'm already nervous. And as soon as I walk towards the pool area, it opens up and I see this beautiful man comfortable in the lawn chair, laid back, hand on his abdomen, just relaxing. And I start backpedaling, like, oh no. And all I can hear is the brother say, come on, brother, come on. I'm like, no, no, come on. I'm not worthy to be next to him. And I'm blessed. He's laid out on the lawn chair, north to south, soaking in the sun. And I'm blessed to sit in one of the chairs, and I'm perpendicular to him, no more than 2 feet from him. And I'm looking around, and the security is distance away. And it's just me and him. And while we're sitting there, like I mentioned, brother, I just want to call you in and check in on you and see how you were doing. And I received your message. And, I don't want to discuss that right now, but I wanted to check in on you. And he proceeded to give me advice. But as he's giving me advice, this is the parts that make it so memorable. As he's giving me advice, he's laying there. He has a white and black tracksuit on, a black or gray Pro Club jacket, I believe an Adidas hat, white Adidas hat on. He's sitting there and he says, oh, I'm getting hot. I want to take my jacket off. And he's laying on his back. He begins to maneuver like this to take the jacket off. And I see, not that he's like struggling, but like maybe he needs some help. And I say, dear Holy, and I lean in, dear Holy Apostle, may I help you? No, before I do that, I look around for the team. Like, well, where's the team at to help him? Because I don't want to get in trouble or step outside of, what I'm able to do. And I don't see them close enough. So, sir, may I help you? And he looks at me and he extends his right arm towards me. So Allah blesses me to be able to help him take his jacket off. And as I take his jacket off, I go to lay it on the back of the lawn chair, and the hoodie falls down and he leans back. And I'm like, sir, can you understand? I'm stuttering at this point in time because I'm so nervous. And I'm like, sir, can you lift up real quick? Your hoodie fell down. And he lifts up and I lift the hoodie back. He lays back and he continues to talk to me. And I imagine why he's talking to me. I mean, I'm shaking. I'm shaking like when you go from a swimming pool into the house with no towel and you're cold because it's AC on in the house and I'm shaking. Brother Hannibal, are you comfortable? Sir, I'm as comfortable as I'm going to be right now. And we continue the conversation. As we continue the conversation, he has a glass of orange juice with the plastic over it at the table in between us. I see him picking at the plastic, and I look around again. And, sir, may I help you take the plastic off your orange juice? And he looks at me and he says, yes, sir. And I go and I grab the orange juice. I pull the plastic off, and I can see him in my peripheral looking at me the whole time I'm doing this. And I turn the orange juice to him. I have it cupped up like this. And I'm like, here you go, sir. And he looks at me. Then he takes a sip. And he continues to talk to me and give me some guidance. And as he's continuing to talk, he says, I want to sit up. And I look at him and I see him kind of maneuvering again to get up. And I, just like I did earlier, I look around because I'm like, I do not want to get in trouble today. But I notice no one's close by. Sir, may I help you up? And he looks at me again. He says, yes, sir. And I come in, and I scoop my left arm up under his right underarm and I help him sit up. And now I want you to understand, brother, as close as this camera is, he is close to me like this with pretty much knees to knees. And he's giving me guidance and he's talking to me. Now, I'm coming from a corporate background. In corporate, you're taught that when you're being interviewed and when you're talking to someone, you look at them in the eyes and you sit up straight. I am nervous, so I'm trying to hype myself up. Come on, brother, look up, look at him, be a man, brother, sit up straight, have some confidence. So I look up like, all right, let's go, and I'll look up at him, and then he'll look at me. I'll drop my head straight down. Oh, Allah. Ooh. And then I tried it like one more time. All right. And he looked at, I said, nah, I ain't doing that today. It's not going to work. So that moment of being that intimate, that the man of God felt comfortable enough to allow a little brother like me who does not feel worthy to be next to the man of God, that he would allow me to help him take his jacket off. He will allow me to take the plastic off of his orange juice and present it to him. He will allow me to help him sit up so that he can look at me while we're having a conversation. Brother, I will never forget that experience. And while I'm sitting there, I had a thought in my head, because over the last few years, I've experienced so many deaths that all I wanted to ask the minister was, why is it that Allah keeps sending me and my family through this? And before I even say what he said to me, people don't know, a few months before my father made his transition on May 10th, 2019, we were rushing my mother to the hospital. And she was pronounced dead as they were operating or doing surgery on her. So the fact that Allah would bless me still to have my mother, and the pain of almost losing both parents, and while I was talking to my mother, or while my mother is still unconscious, I reached out to my brother Marcus out of Baltimore, and I said, bro, I need you to pray for me, man, because this isn't easy to endure. And he stopped and made a prayer for me. And in the midst of his prayer, he asked Allah, he asked Allah that if he had any rewards or any blessings left, that he give it to my mother. And while I was at the hospital, my mother came too and spoke to me. So while I'm sitting with the minister, I want to ask them, I don't want to cut the man of God off. I want to ask the minister a simple question. Why is it that Allah keeps sending me and my family through these things? And he stops, looks at me and says, Allah is preparing you to help the masses in my absence. And I looked up at him shocked, because we're on a whole nother subject. And the next thing I know, tears come running down my face. And he continued on a conversation that we're having. I'm like, how did he know what I wanted to ask him? So, brother, to have a man like that loves us so dearly, that would take time out of his busy schedule, saving the world, to come and grab a little brother, to come to the aid of a little brother like me. All I can do is say Allahu Akbar and get up and go harder than I was going before to help the man of God. Beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful testimony, brother. And I love, as one of the commenters or viewers are actually said the same thing. You're very descriptive in your recollection, man. And I appreciate that, because what you shared about what the minister shared with you as it relates to the question that you have, I would imagine during this pandemic where there are other people who are going through similar, and they're wondering, like many of us wonder when we go through something, why, right? And so what we're doing now, brother, we're coming up on our last break, and we'll be back, brothers and sisters, to continue this interview, this beautiful interview with our brother Hannibal Muhammad.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
AsiaticMinds.com. Online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. 2022 through 23 enrollment waiting list open now. Visit AsiaticMinds.com.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Willie Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
Greetings back, brothers and sisters, who continue this final portion of our interview with our brother Hannibal Muhammad. And Brother Hannibal, prior to us doing this interview, you and I talked, and you talked about how, I think over the last year or so, you have been doing something that's talked about in How to Eat to Live. Can you share that with the audience and the benefits that you're seeing?
Absolutely, man. I can't wait to talk about this. Yes, sir. Over just over a year now, I've been honored and blessed to practice How to Eat to Live, eating one meal every other day. I started in August of 2020, a few months after catching COVID. And before that, my father would talk to me about my weight. And I didn't think of myself as being fat or none. I thought I just got a little stocky. But my wife as well. Thank you for showing that picture. Thank you for reminding everybody. My wife would get on me. My children are blunt. My daughters are straight up say, "Daddy, you're fat." And I was like, "God, I'm not fat. What are you talking about?" But after catching COVID, thinking about my father, my children, and I don't want, through the grace of Allah, my children to experience what me and my siblings had to experience pertaining to my father. And them having to bury me at a young age. So I really wanted to do better. And through the guidance of a brother Qiyam, through the guidance of a brother Salih out of LA, I was able to start that journey. And the goal was, I did the 30-day How to Eat to Live challenge, where you cut out the breads, the chips, the sodas, the sugars, the donuts for 30 days. And then after those 30 days, I decided to eat all the things that I couldn't have. And after eating that, I was like, my stomach felt horrible. I couldn't believe this. And it was like, why would you do this to me? So the next day I decided to fast. I wasn't going to do it until after National Fast Weekend, but I decided to fast that next day. And then I fast. And then from there, I just started rolling. And through the process, not only have I lost weight, You know, I was at 215 when I got started. By the time Ramadan came around, I was at $145. My wife was concerned with me, so I had to start bulking up. She wanted me to eat additional protein, so I had to do that a little bit. But through the process, I learned, and before I learned, I knew I had become very lax in my discipline. And that was one of the things I really wanted to strive to strengthen back up my discipline. And I knew if I can strengthen up my gut, then everything else will be easy to handle. And if that's what Allah desires of us, is to have a long living life through eating the proper foods at the proper times, why not do it? And through that journey, I started feeling lighter on my feet. I can feel the difference when I eat certain foods now. I started even noticing when I would eat sugary or salty foods, the mucus build up that I would feel in my body, the weight of food on me. And I started desiring not to eat those particular things. Food that seasoned. I'm not saying I don't like seasoned food, but food that was extremely seasoned became too salty and seasoned for me. Food that was sweet, cookies and cakes, became too sweet for me. So I started really coming down to eating more or less just vegetables, rice, bean soup, some bread, and really had a real strict diet from that point. Then from that, it just started feeling good. Now, others started seeing me as I would run into people during the pandemic. Dang, brother, you look different. You lost some weight. And at some point, you forget that you're even on this journey, you know. And I'm in as I talked to Brother Kian, you know, I'm experimenting. I'm learning more about myself. I'm learning what works in this process. And during that process, as I've been going through this journey, others have jumped on. And then I came to a point where it was like, Allah, I mean, I'm not that I'm tired, but Allah, man, you know, give me a little bit, give me an extra boost. And then I came across a group called Prayer and Fasting. And then even though Prayer and Fasting, they're doing 3-day fast every weekend, just the testimonies became rejuvenating for me to help me keep going and help me keep pushing. So I reached out to Keon one day. I said, bro, did you notice during Ramadan, it became hard to eat. Now, I want you to hear what I'm saying. We love to eat. It became hard to eat because I was strict to eating at 4 o'clock, 4 to 6, no later than 4 to 8, because after eating a bowl of beans, so you may feel a little full, but I know I need to get enough nutrients in to hold me over. So I may push back my meals a little bit just so I can get everything in. So during that process, during Ramadan, eating so late, there was days I didn't want to eat. I had to force myself to eat, but I would feel it late at night because I'm rushing the food. However, the spirit of it, having, you know, being excited, the joy, being able to look in the mirror and know you can put your suit on again. You know, that's exciting to be back at high school weight. Brother, I haven't been in high school weight since high school. So to be able to get back to high school weight, to be able to have your spirit higher, to be able to have Allah show you things. Man, bro, during the month of Ramadan, I will pull out my Quran and not realize I didn't have my glasses on and read and go through my daily reading without my glasses. That was a testimony for myself to notice that my hearing increased, to notice that my spirit increased. You know, to see these different things was really rejuvenating, to be able to go through this process and continue on this process. And it has really motivated me to do other things. Going into every other day has done this for me. There's a lot of fears we deal with. We know the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of the unknown. And as we go to scripture, it talks about there's big giants out there. Those fears of that seem like giants. As I've been on every other day, Allah has blessed me to have the strength to challenge those giants. And then once challenging them, I was able to see, man, you was nothing but a little kitten. You were minute. You weren't as big as I pictured you. And that motivated me and gave me more confidence to continue on challenging these fears and anything Allah puts on my heart. Now it's like, go do it. Step out on faith, Hannibal. Go do it. Allah's giving you something. Go do it and see everything that seems so difficult, that if I take one little step every day, and that's how I treat it every day, just do it. It's a new day. It's a new day. And every time I've done that, I've seen things became easier, and I started tackling things that seemed very difficult to tackle.
Praise be to Allah. We're coming up on our getting close to the close. I want to ask you this question. There's somebody that has asked the same. They've asked another question in the chat room, but I want to get this, make sure we ask this question. I remember the great time I had there in Phoenix, Arizona, when I was invited by your sister who was working with the 10,000 Fearless there.
Yes.
And I would like to use this time for you to share with the audience the fight that your sister is currently engaged in, and also share with the audience how we could possibly help her. And then after that, we'll get ready to close out, give you the opportunity to thank those that you have not had the opportunity to thank, and respond to one of the comments in the comment section where a brother is asking about the work that you did with the Criterion billboard. So go ahead, my brother.
Absolutely. My beautiful sister, Sahara Mahasin Muhammad, man, I love her dearly. And I want you to know, when Allah gives you a twin, be thankful for that twin, because everything that I've had to experience and go through, she's gone through with me, and everything she's had to experience and go through, I've gone through with her. And we have this saying, back to back, sword to sword. Back to back, sword to sword, because every time something popped off, we had to look at each other and know we're going into war. Let's go, sis. Well, my sister is in the midst of a war. She's facing, and she's been diagnosed with cancer, stage 4 cancer. And this particular cancer she's been diagnosed with, I can't even pronounce it. It is a rare cancer. She's considered the 17th person in the world to have this cancer. She has the #1 top doctors in the state working with her, and they're at a point where they're lost for words. They don't have a solution right now. And just recently, she had 4 additional masses appear in her body. And they did a biopsy on one of them to find out she has an additional cancer that's in her body right now that is stage 4. So it's to the point now that they're now giving her a timeline. Nobody wants to be given a timeline, a set date of what may happen. So now she's faced with that particular level of fear. So my sister she's in the middle of a fight. And as I remind her every day when we speak, Allah has something grand for you. God never forsakes his promise. So, but in order to get to that promise, to receive that reward, we must go through something that we will be completely worthy of that promise. So she's in the middle of a fight right now. And because of it, she was a flight attendant. She can't work. So that puts a burden on her and her family to obtain the financial responsibilities for her. Her insurance are looking to drop her because of how severe this is. So now we're coming to a position where we have to pay for this stuff out of pocket. So if you want to support my sister, please go to her GoFundMe. Help her. She has a beautiful son. Imagine having to bear at the age of 11, you're not even 12 yet, knowing that your parent is going through so much. So there's a lot that we're going through and having to endure. And Allah constantly sends those who he loves under pressure. He constantly tries those who he loves. And I had to recently learn that her trial is not my trial. Her trial is my test. I'm being tested by her trial right now, and how I handle it and how much of a support I can be to her. Now, to that other question pertaining to the Criterion, beautiful question. Allah bless me. Say it again.
We only have a couple of minutes left.
Okay. Yes, sir. That Allah bless me and a few others. I know they don't like their names mentioned, but I gotta mention Brother Haladio out of Phoenix and Brother Kenny out of Phoenix. That if you remember during the period of the Criterion, when we were trying to post our graphics, our designs online, we could not run campaigns, no promotions, and we had to think of another way to help promote the man of God. So we decided to build billboards. we went and did billboards. And then we got a message that the minister seen the billboards and the pictures, and he was so pleased with it, and he thanked us for it, that motivated us to want to get billboards, not just in Phoenix, but nationwide. And there were over 50 something billboards throughout the whole country, one in Canada. And I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but the traction was amazing, to the point that one of those papers had to write about how no matter what they've done to try to combat the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, his beautiful believers always find a way to get him and his words out.
Be to a line. And as we get ready to close, I know you wanted some people that you wanted to thank, and you also have a special gift for those who are watching.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, I want to thank my parents for giving birth to a little brother like me, giving birth to their son, and giving me an opportunity to grow. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Sister DeAndrea, because I would not be the husband, the man that I'm growing into, if it was not for her. And she just recently had an article in the Final Call newspaper, the one with Drake and Kanye on the cover, talking about how the minister's music is healing. So please go check that out. I want to thank my beautiful daughters for keeping me on my toes and helping me grow. But I want to make sure I thank Sister Charlene, Sister Donna, and Sister Anissa, because these three beautiful sisters were so intricate in helping me to get this book out. If it was not for them, I would not have this beautiful book that's currently out. And I want to thank the believers of Muhammad Mosque number 32. I want to thank Student Minister Abdul Iman Muhammad of Phoenix for granting me an opportunity to assist him in this work. And I want to thank the minister, Mother Khadijah, the believers, and anyone I didn't mention. Trust, put it on my mind, not on my heart, because that was not the intentions to skip you. But if you wanted to purchase the book, if you wanted anything, please visit HannibalMuhammad.com to get the book. It's also available on Amazon, and it's available in e-form too on Apple iBooks. And thank you so much, Student Minister Willie, for this beautiful platform of I Have a Testimony.
Praise be to Allah. And you said you wanted to do when brother
oh yes,
Kiyam was here.
You know, my big brother Kiyam always sets the stage, and he's always good for calling you out to make sure that we have our testimonies. So these two books, In My Father's Steps, and then I also produced a workbook for it. What I would love, this is what I'm going to do. The first 5 people who don't have this, if you email Student Minister Willie, he will get me the information. I personally will send you out a signed copy of both books. I want to say welcome into 2022. I'm sending out 5 personal signed copies of both books together to the first 5 people to email our big brother, Student Minister Willie Muhammad, and I will send you out a copy. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those, and I will be placing it in the section, but I want to make sure that we post in the section the link for those who can give to your sister's GoFundMe effort as well. We just posted it in the link. Now, for those who are on here to get those, the first 5 now is the first 5. We're typing the email address in the actual comment section. So make sure that you do it. And Brother Hannibal, thank you, my brother, for the testimony that you shared. And as you see in the comments, there are many people that are liking it. And we thank everybody who's tuning in. And you know, we're coming in at our closing, man. May Allah continue to bless you and your family, my brothers. And leave it to greeting words of peace in paradise. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
And for those who are watching, make sure you subscribe, and thank you for tuning in to another testimony, another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. And for those people that want the books, you have to send an email to you can send it to contact@nnvnews.com. That's where you can send it. Peace.
Go home and study. See, many of you don't study your religion. And you think you're going to attain something without study. But if you believe in something, you need to study it so you can become proficient in what you do. Now watch this. God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us.
He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.